Hi friends, welcome to the channel. I'm Olivia, and if you've never seen my face before, you can consider me your fragrance fairy godmother. So I don't know about you guys, but I have been feeling incredibly overwhelmed by the amount of fragrance releases that we have gotten this year. And I've been talking to a lot of my friends within the perfume space, whether they be reviewers or also enthusiasts, and all of us had the resounding same thought of fearing that we are seeing the Sheinification of perfumery. So many brands that are not holding art as the engine of what fuels their machine, but rather coming out with a fragrance every other week in this vain attempt to create hype and make you feel like you're missing out if you're not purchasing every release, and it's so tiring. And to be honest with you, I'm just exhausted and I don't want any part of it. And the amazing part is, this is my page and I can do whatever I want to. So this week, I am going to be starting a series where I focus in on the brands that I really think are adding to the rich tapestry of fragrances that we have on the market. They are creating something special, whether it be with the artistry of their photo shoots, the inspiration behind their fragrances, the materials that they use. I want to focus in on brands that I wholeheartedly 100% am obsessed with. I want the vision. I want the creativity, I want the story, I want the essence of the fragrance. I don't want a fast fashion fragrance house, I don't. So I'm gonna really take some time to focus in on brands that I love. So today, I'm going to be kicking off this series with a brand that I actually just got to celebrate their 3rd year birthday, and that is House of Beau. So I want to start with a little bit of backstory to the brand before I get into the scents. This brand is truly a testament to turning something that's painful into artistry. And the brand was founded by Bernardo Moller after the unexpected passing of his father. And he wanted to capture the essence of his father's purpose-driven life and his spiritual teachings, in which he did in his scent Espiritu. And the central theme of the brand is Bernardo's upbringing in Mexico, which is very clear and evident in everything from the packaging to the advertisement photos to the scents themselves. And their main mission was to create a fragrance house that is high luxury that also focuses on sustainability, sourcing the highest quality ingredients from small organic farms. They're vegan, they're cruelty-free, they're free of colorants, and the packaging is made of recyclable glass. So with a heavy emphasis on sustainability and high quality products, they have some incredible fragrances. So let's start off today with the fragrance that really started it all, Espiritu. So I actually have an older bottle, but now this is coming with gemstone tops. So if you were to see this now, it actually has a tiger's eye top that's said to promote courage and focus. And Espiritu means spirit in Spanish, and I think it's the perfect name as this is the fragrance that was meant to pay homage to Bernardo's father. And one thing that I found super interesting about this fragrance is that the perfumer talked about trying to recreate the scent of trees that you find in Mexico that have these beautiful blooming yellow flowers called maculis that produce this warm, woody, almost slightly spicy scent. So you can imagine this as walking into a forest. You're going to get some herbal touches coming from a sage, and there is a leather in this, but it comes off very soft and delicate, very suede-like. And you have an iris and a tobacco that almost create this haze-like effect that's going through these vibrant yellow blooming trees. It's warm, it's comforting, it's woody and musky. So if you like scents that aren't overly sweet, you want something that feels more intrinsic in nature, this is the brand that you would definitely like. Herbal, lightly leathery, woody, warm, and musky. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Next up in the collection is called La Mar, or the sea. And this one was actually inspired by his mother, Janet. who I actually had the pleasure of meeting at the 3rd-year anniversary, and we really got to sit down and talk for like 45 minutes, and this woman was incredible. She was so lovely, she was so elegant and graceful and well-spoken, and I want to be her one day. And the story behind this fragrance is Bernardo started his affinity towards fragrances when he was really young, in which he was intrigued by his mother's fragrances. So of course, as kids do, we go and we play in their makeup and their skincare and their hair care and all of their fragrances. So he wanted to create a fragrance that was reminiscent of the lush floral fragrances that she wore at the time, in combination with the sunscreen that she would wear going to the beach in Sayulita. It has some ultra creamy white florals of jasmine, gardenia, tuberose that are made even more milky with a coconut and an almond milk, creating that almost sunscreen-like effect, but I don't want you to think copper tone, and I do not want you to think cheap smelling, because they don't do that. It's lush, it's smooth, it's floral, but it's not too heavy or overpowering, because there's the note of seawater and pink pepper that give this salted sparkle in the beginning, making it a little bit more sheer. This is a sophisticated summer sun scent. It is floral, it is lush, but it's lively, and it just has a lot of character to it. And after meeting his mother, I can understand why this is what they came up with, because perfect. So if you like a creamy white floral, if you love a coconut, but you want something a little bit salted and sparkling, I think you would love this. And another in the collection that is going to center around the ocean is El Sireno. And this is referring to a mystical sea creature, and the perfumer behind this wanted to create an under the ocean garden landscape. So instead of being creamy white florals, these are going to be floral, but this is going to be more on the green side and the more fresh aquatic side. So you're still getting florals in this. You're getting a magnolia, you're getting a tuberose, and you're getting ylang ylang. But with the note of banana leaf, they come off very young, freshly budded, with the ocean breeze rolling in the background, with the note of seaweed, which I have to admit, when I first tried this fragrance, I was a little bit afraid of that seaweed note, because I didn't know if it was going to pull it in the direction of fishy. But it adds that mystical, salted, brined characteristic of ocean water. Almost like when you leave the beach and you smell your hair and you have that beautiful salted ocean water in your hair. That's the kind of saltiness that that seaweed note gives. We have some oak moss giving this a beautiful earthiness. We have a little bit of lavender giving this some brightness and herbal freshness. And we also have the note of mastic. So if you've never heard of that, it gives this resinous tree sap, almost turpentine sort of scent. So to me, this smells like springtime near the beach. It's a little bit green, it's salted. The florals aren't rich yet. They're young, they're blooming, and there's no indolic properties to them quite yet. So this will be fantastic for those of you who like something that's fresh, green, a little bit salty, and a little bit breezy. And the next one is called Agua de Santos, which means water of the saints. And this one really draws inference from the very fresh colognes that were popular in Mexico for so long. And when I showed this to my husband, he said it reminded him of his grandfather in the best way possible. Now, I know some people will say, I don't want to smell like a grandfather, but hold up, let me explain something. The colognes that were popular back then in Mexico were quite a bit different, say, than my grandfather would have been using. Because here, it would have been more of an Old Spice moment. It would have been something very spicy and very dark, and would read dated to the nose these days. But the colognes that were popular during the time in Mexico have a completely different scent profile than we're used to here in the States. And they are very clean, very citrusy, and very aromatic. This is going to open up with a sweet citrusiness that's followed by a fresh neroli scent, so you're getting a lot of orange blossom. It smells like fresh citrus groves in the summertime. So this is sweet, fresh, citrusy. It's a little bit floral, but in a way that's very uplifting and a little bit herbal. This is the most refreshing out of all of them to my nose. And this actually bears a resemblance to a fragrance that I love in my collection called Agua de la Regina by Santa Maria Novella. So if you like things that are clean, crisp, and citrusy, you would love this one. And next up is called Rosario. And the cap of this one is my absolute favorite. This is actual natural rose quartz, which rose quartz is supposed to promote love and healing. And with this one, if I'm recalling correctly, he was trying to capture the beautiful scent of the fresh open air flower markets. So this is a rose-centered fragrance, very rose dominant. But this is a very fresh, young, dewy, plush pink rose. So I don't want you to think of the rich, dense scent that you get out of a dark red velvety rose, but rather a springtime rose. And this was actually created with the perfumer Olivier Cresp, whose grandfather spent much of his time in Mexico trading raw materials. I thought that was a cool connection. So the freshness is really amplified in the beginning with some lemon that gives it a little bit of sparkle, along with a pomegranate that gives just a little bit of that sweet juiciness. So it's quite floral, but it has a wateriness to it. But don't let that deceive you, because in the base, this has an incense. And it's not a rich, dark incense, but rather a clean burning incense that's kind of wafting throughout the air. You also get a little bit of a salty earthiness coming from an ambergris and a vetiver. So if you want a rose that feels both elegant, yet youthful and playful, sheer and sparkling, I think you would love this one. And as a rose lover, this one has really caught my nose lately. And next up is my personal favorite out of the collection, and that is Casablanca. Casablanca means white house, and this really does evoke the sense of white. If marble were to have a scent, it would be this. This is truly unlike any fragrance that I've ever smelled in my life. This has an ethereal quality about it. I've described this in the past as smelling like that indescribable scent in the most bougie hotel lobby that you've ever been to. If I could have this on my linens, if I could have this scent pumped through my house the entire day long, I would. And the name Casablanca is perfect for this scent because the notes that they utilized in this fragrance have a white theme to them. For example, white tea. So you're getting this very delicate tea scent along with mineral notes. So I want you to imagine a beautiful, delicate pottery clay sort of scent. So it opens up with this beautiful mineral freshness, but then you start to get a little bit of a smoky fig and a copal, giving it this warmth, giving it a little bit of a smoky fruitiness. And then in the base, you get a little bit of vanilla, you get a little bit of tobacco, and an oud that is very, very, very sheer. This is classy. This is creamy, this is ethereal, this is kind of the fragrance that I would like to grow up to be one day, if that makes sense. I want to live up to the image of this fragrance. This is polished sophistication in a bottle. I would be hard pressed to find a person who does not like this scent, truly. Although, I've seen comparisons online to people saying that this smells like Thé Noir by Le Labo. Thé Noir is my signature scent, essentially. I don't really have a signature scent, but if I were to have one, it would be Thé Noir, and I can confirm that Thé Noir is much darker, it's much more dry, a little bit more masculine. This has a creaminess, this has a smoothness that might even be better than Thé Noir, if I'm being honest. Stunning, immaculate. If you have never tried this, if you can find a store near you to give it a sniff, put it on your skin and see the magic, because this, in my opinion, is truly a masterpiece. And the top of this one is white howlite, which is supposed to promote wisdom and patience. But one that is swiftly taking my heart and is a very close second to Casablanca is Oro Verde, which translates to green gold. And the stone for this one is green jasper, which helps to promote growth and vitality. And the perfumer described this one as wanting to capture the scent of walking through the Amazon rainforest. So this one is going to feel very dewy, lush, green, and a little bit woody. And this opens up with the most incredible note of cannabis, but I do not want you to think of something charred and smoky and dank, but I want you to think of the fresh, herbal, uplifting components of the actual fresh cannabis leaf. And that's really nicely balanced with a sweet yet watery element of watermelon, an unexpected but fabulous combination. That aromatic herbal touch is pushed a little bit further with some basil, but then they create that damp earthiness in the base with an oak moss, an ambergris, and a Palo Santo to really make you feel like you're amongst the trees. This is a green fragrance done so well, because green fragrances typically are fragrances that are really difficult for me, because if they're overly grassy, if they're overly crunchy and leafy, they don't smell great on me. On other people, I love them, but on me, not so much. But this is a green fragrance that I could absolutely get behind. This is a cannabis fragrance like no other because it has that beautiful freshness to it, and that little bit of sweetness coming from the watermelon complements so beautifully. This was a resounding favorite from the girls on my trip that were also celebrating the 3rd year anniversary. This one was so highly regarded. So although Casablanca is #1 for me, this is a very, 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 very close second. And next is Infinitoud. And the cap on this is black marble stone, which helps to promote strength and elegance. And this is the kind of fragrance that makes you close your eyes and picture rolling sand dunes. And this one is going to utilize notes of ancient perfumery with myrrh, incense, and oud, but oud done in a way that I haven't really seen before. Although this utilizes some very hard-hitting notes, this still has this effortlessly sheer airiness about it that I've come to expect from this house. This is dry, earthy, very spicy, and has a little bit of resinous qualities as well. So if you like spicy and you like earthy, but you don't want something that's very heavy wearing, you want something that still has this beautiful airiness to it, and you like incense, this one, stunner. And last up is Bombon. And this is going to be their version of a gourmand scent. But for those of you who are into the super cupcakey sweet scent, this to you is not going to be gourmand. It's their version of a gourmand, because this is really going to center around the note of lily of the valley. So this is going to boast a strong white floral essence to it that you don't commonly see associated with a gourmand scent. This also has a leathery touch coming from a saffron, a little bit of a sparkling spiciness from a pink pepper, and the gourmand elements are a little bit richer in this. So I want you to think of a caramelized cognac that's adding a dark, sultry, boozy touch that's not overly sweet. But a very interesting twist on this is it has the note of lychee that is adding to the sweetness, but it's also adding a sourness as well. So to my nose, I would call this more of a sultry, bombastic white floral scent more than a gourmand scent. It does have edible, sweet facets to it, but I think it's balanced with enough dark notes that this could fall in our femme fatale category. Sweet, but with a dark, rich, almost vintage twist to it. So that is all of the fragrances from the house that we have at the moment, but I might have gotten to have a little sneak peek at what's coming up. But don't even try to get it out of me. My lips are sealed. Have you guys tried the House of Beau fragrances? And if so, let us know down below which one is your favorite. And for those of you who have been curious to try out a cannabis fragrance, but you've been a little bit intimidated by that note, please try to get your hands on Oro Verde, because this is like a cannabis like no other. And I would love a little feedback from you guys if you have the time. What are some fragrance houses that you think are really making waves within the fragrance industry? Brands that prioritize the artistry, the quality of the materials, the presentation. What are fragrance houses that have really wowed you? Leave me a little comment down below and I will try to make a brand specific video reviewing all the fragrances that are top notch. And as always, thank you guys so much for taking the time to be with me here today and watching this video, and to those of you who made it to the end, love you. You're a real one. And as always, my friends, I will see you next Saturday, 10 a.m. PST, and you know what to do. Take care of yourselves, my friends.